a bit deepen the previous discussion, what we saw, especially related to AI literacy, the need for critical thinking. And, well, I would like to show you how deep the rabbit hole really is. So, well, I wouldn't say it will be just doom and gloom, but prepare for the worst. Okay? I don't know how you're familiar with this phrase. I tried to put this Hungarian name of the game, kinevet a végén, who laughs last, to learning. He who learns last, and in this case, as echoing Brent's presentation, who learns here, the human or the machine, or how is it? So in this case, if you are looking at, maybe you're familiar with this tool, Ray-Ban Meta AI glass. It would be so much cooler if I could present it in real case scenario. In this sense, I just only can tell you as an anecdote. Previously, I was in a conference where Dan Fitzpatrick was presenting about AI, and he had the glass and showed us that he talked to Meta and put the microphone to the so we can hear what the Meta actually says. And imagine, they describe the room, whatever. Imagine it as a blind person. You just look at in your fridge and it tells us what's in the fridge, what is the expiration date, whatever. But also imagine that if we are, as a teacher, running around in our classroom and we just hear from one of our students that what your teacher is saying is not quite right, later I will tell you about it, okay? That's the new reality that we are living in. In this case, we'll see a nice-looking tomato, and exactly we see the recipe for pico de gallo right in our glasses. I always like to start with this image to put things right. So we are discussing AI, but AI is a very broad field, of course, and more often than not, we are referring only to generative AI, ChatGPT, and they are here, okay? It's only a small subset of the whole topic. It's just as a reminder. This is how it works, okay? So however it seems that we are following a discussion, maybe they can ensure us, provide empathy even in a discussion, it's really nothing more than statistics. It predicts the next most possible token in the sense. Okay, it's also important to take into consideration. So with that, I'm going to introduce some interesting concepts. First, starting with cognitive offloading, which was already mentioned, but I just want to emphasize that if you look back in history, mainly one of the first instances of cognitive offloading was writing. Attributed to Socrates, writing will make people forget because they will trust external marks rather than cultivated memory. And since that time, we already always have this question with the new tools that we are getting. Imagine like the calculator to offload our numeracy skills, or with GPS we offload spatial navigation. And there are actually research behind it. They show that those who are using GPS to navigate actually show less hippocampus activity and degrading their spatial memories. And with Google and search, we offload factual stored memory. The research says that actually we remember less on the content of what the information is, but we remember more on how to find the information. So it's very important. It not just erodes our memory, but changes how we learn. So in this sense, cognitive offloading is the use of physical action to alter information processing requirements, so to reduce cognitive demands. A very easy example when you write a shopping list, right? You don't need to remember all the items, you just list them, and later on it's, well, according to Clark and Chalmers, as in the extended mind thesis, it's part of your cognitive process, part of your mind, basically. But that will be the most important distinction when we go on. If you look at AI, what it is capable of, I just yesterday downloaded this image. It's about this graduate level Google-proof benchmark on the different LLM models. And you see a stark rise from the beginning. Nowadays it's a bit more slower, but still it's getting to the 100%. It's around 90%. So these are tasks that would require advanced knowledge or critical thinking, usually at the graduate level, that AI is able to solve. And these tasks are not able to solve by simple Google search. That's why it's called the Google Proof benchmark. So we are nearly at the 100% level with them. But to put it on the other way, the creativity factor, it seems that humans are not just unable to distinguish between human and AI-written poems, but they actually like the AI-written poems more. If you look at the statistics, they rated the AI-generated poems as more beautiful, more inspiring, more lyrical, more meaningful in this sense. This is just the reality. Another aspect, and we are going in stages. The previously was the offloading, and the next one, what we call is cognitive delegation. So you see, we are easing on the concepts. Previously, we just offloaded. Now it's some more purpose, delegate task to an autonomous agent, retaining our oversight, but not the execution of the task. Here are the things, the Socratic tutors, the hint-giving systems, Copilot-assisted human tutors. And there are actually studies around that. For example, the Stanford Tutor Copilot study, and many of the studies that I will quote are usually preprints, so take it with this critical sense as well. So the Stanford Tutor Copilot study showed that while human tutors get AI whisper in their ears, showed better results, so 4 to 9 percentage point of mastery gain, and biggest for those who are the weakest tutors. So in this sense, the human remains the cognitive agent, so the decision is with them, and AI delegates the guidance. So there are some positive effects. For example, the Bastani and colleagues study is focused on math tasks on secondary school children. They had a group of students without any tools, a group who can use the general ChatGPT, and a group who used a specially calibrated custom GPT. The problem was the group with the free ChatGPT usually asked them to, give me the answer. So that was their only response and cooperation with the AI. And we see that those who used the free ChatGPT, when they were using it during the practice, they scored 48% more than the group without the tool. But when we take away the tool and we have the exam, they produced less results. But if they use the custom GPT, which was pedagogically tailored in a way not to give the answer, but to guide the student, explain, help them, etc., this distinction, and unfortunately I missed the minus sign here, so it's very important, this negative effect became null, basically. So with the pedagogical guardrail, we could reach that level as the group without the tools. Okay, so it basically shows this principal-agent gap where you are responsible for evaluating the agent's output. But the thing is, you really cannot see what is under the hood, so how their thought processes go. And this is what we call this deep epistemic dependence. You are there to believe that, okay, they arrived at an answer somehow. So the question is, who retains the ownership of this cognitive effort? For example, Lee and colleagues' study with Microsoft showed that those who highlighted higher confidence in AI, it was associated with less critical thinking. The more you use the AI, the more you are accepting its output. And it's subliminal, so it's not a conscious process. How do students use AI? It was a study on Anthropic on their Claude tool. So they analyzed how students, higher education students, interacted with the tool. It's a nice categorization, but what is more important, if you're familiar with the Bloom taxonomy, most of the tasks that students were doing with Claude are belonging to the higher order thinking skills, the creating. So they offloaded, outsourced the higher order thinking skills. Okay? I let it sink in. Now it's your turn. Think of a recent task that you use the AI for, something work or academic related. Okay? Think of a specific example. If you got it, I will have three options, and I would like to ask you to raise your hand when you feel that your use case is true in that sentence. Okay? So the first one, when you use the AI to organize or structure something that you had previously thought through. Who has this use case? Okay, nice. Next, I used AI to help me think. I gave it my reasoning, I pushed it back or suggested something, and I decided. So it's a back and forth type of thing. Okay, a bit less. Who used, I gave AI the task and used what came back. Editing, adjusting, and submitting. Even less. Okay, so these are the concepts that I'm talking about, the offloading, the delegation, and the outsourcing, maybe a bit more closer to our examples. But what is this outsourcing, this last aspect that I want to highlight? Some examples why this outsourcing will be a problem. Who here encountered hallucinated references in their work? Okay, it's quite annoying, right? Why don't they can just create the real references? Actually, this digital plastic that I want to refer to, I just found this in LinkedIn. Ben Williamson found out that they get a hallucinated citation in their papers to an article that they never wrote. Of course, it's easy for you to recognize that because you just know what kind of articles you wrote. But the main problem is these hallucinated articles was already cited 42 times in Google Scholar. So there are at least 42 papers out there who reference this non-existent source. So it's in our system. The digital plastic is in the system. This is what we call the knowledge crisis in higher education. So cognitive outsourcing, who is responsible for this? Transferring the reasoning process itself to an opaque external agent. So the problem is these are not transparent and not integrated, the reasoning process, so we cannot know what is happening. So instead of the previously mentioned extended mind with the shopping list, using AI is basically the replaced mind. There are some studies that shows us, for example, the previously mentioned Bastani study, this very famous Cosmina study. I'm just going to highlight these. So they use the EEG study. You can see it here. They put a sensor on their head and see what happens in their brain when they are engaging with AI for essay writing. And they showed really that the group with the LLM showed the least distributed neural connectivity across the tasks. So it was a bit less happening in our brain. But also, the ChatGPT group couldn't quote a single sentence from their essay. This is what we call the cognitive debt, which is accumulating throughout. And also this other study highlighting this borrowed competence concept. So these are all this cognitive outsourcing what I wanted to highlight because these concepts are not that well established in the literature yet, but this is an important aspect. Not all difficulties are the same, of course. So there are what we call as legacy friction that we can eliminate, for example, formatting references, administrative tasks. But there are design friction which are there to deliberately slow us down to engage with the actual work of learning. Okay? With a very banal example, if you go to the gym and you just watch the video, nothing happens. Of course, you need to do the hard work and you need to feel your muscle burn. With the same with your brain. You have to feel your brain burn, do the work. This is the case if you just hike on the mountain or you use the chairlift. Both get the same result. You see the beautiful view, but whether the navigation skills, the cardiovascular fitness, or the psychological resilience will happen only on one case. Of course, there is an optimal sense to it. It's too much or too little of the level of friction is also not good. And there are actually this what we call the desirable difficulties, what we need to implement in learning to make it more meaningful in our age of AI. So this is what we call the illusion of learning. So to compound the problem itself, it shows that the subjective experience of understanding without the underlying cognitive architecture is very problematic because users, students, teachers even feel that the AI, as it is fluent, creates the text, is actually right. Okay, so it's We believe that. But true learning would require that we can apply this knowledge in new context. And if the ChatGPT generated the content, it doesn't automatically translate into our own knowledge. And that is the illusion what we have. It's easy to say that, okay, we just don't use these tools, or yeah, we will be very critical about it. But research shows that this AI de-skilling is actually a structural problem, not an individual character flaw. Of course, it's easy to use it. And as we say, the question is, what is the meaningful friction that we need to retain? So this choosing the harder path, it shouldn't be this nostalgia that we're going back to the 19th century writing by hand type of thing, because yeah, with 3D printing, you can just make the ChatGPT written essay written down in your handwriting, or just ask the AI to produce an image in your own handwriting, so there's that. So to conclude, I would just like to emphasize that the context, the task type, and what is being learned will determine the ethical and pedagogical valence of using an AI tool. So the same thing could be very different in different contexts, like here in this example. All in all, we can say that AI is basically an amplifier. It amplifies good pedagogy, but bad pedagogy as well, equally. So this friction by design, we have to deliberately question what friction to remove, what is meaningful friction, and what consolidates as more productive learning in this sense. Thank you very much for your attention.